know you guys already heard this. Did we talk about camels drinking water on the farm tour? Okay. Other things about a camel, starting from the front. All camelets have a split upper lip. They all can pick grass with just the top lip, without the bottom or the side. Yeah, his pee doesn't smell lovely either.
You may turn this fan on for just a second?
Might turn it on for a lot more than a second, but I don't know, it's gonna mess up your sound. But we'll take out the hose here in a minute. Good night. Woo! Yeah, right? Thanks, Ed. Energize this one again.
Just keep going.
That's impressive.
I know. Maybe that's
starts at 10 gallons of water every day. And keeping their stalls is even more expensive than feeding them. When these guys are in, we strip the stalls every third day. It's 8 bags of shavings for a stall, $9 a bag. So $150 every 3 days to keep these stalls clean. All right, so these guys, split top lip. They're two sides of their top lip work independently. All camels have all camelids, not just camels, but camels, llamas, alpacas, vicunas, guanacos, all have no top teeth in the front. They have a big gummy plate that lets them eat more, not less. You can see them out in the desert chomping right into cactuses and chucking it down. In the top of their mouth, they have these things called papillae. The point of the papillae is that it directs their food longitudinally down their throat. If they have eaten things like cactuses that need to go straight down their throat so they don't get hung up in their neck, then they have all these papillae in the top of their mouth, and that guides the food straight down their throat. There's two kinds of camels in the world, two main divisions. That is dromedary. If you could remember the two words, a capital D has one hump for dromedary, and so that's the way that guy is. And a capital B would have two humps for Bactrian, and that's the way that the little guy over there is, Humphrey, the little camel. So dromedaries are the one hump, Bactrians are the two hump. The camels, when we say they have no top teeth in the front, I mean right there in the front, they have no top teeth. They have full sets in the back, and this is an older camel that gets its fighting fangs in. This would be a male, older camel. If they're neutered, they don't get the fighting fangs. If they're not neutered, they do get the fighting fangs. So these guys are neutered, they don't have the fighting fang teeth. The nose is slit shaped. They have about a gazillion hairs in there. The hairs go about halfway back their neck. So as they exhale, that strips all the water vapor out of their breath so that they're exhaling only dry air. Then as they inhale, that is making the water, that is the same water vapor that is in their breath is making it so they don't suffer so much from the dryness of the desert air, because that's going to moisturize their air on the way down to their lungs. Guys, I'm going to hose this floor real quick. Turn that on.
So they're related to things like the alpacas and the camels?
Yes, they are all camelids.
Camelids. That's pretty
Did the other one in a minute. So the camelids. Camels, llamas, alpacas, vicunas are camelids. They all have a number of similarities and a few differences. The differences, obviously the size. The camels are huge. And then next down is llamas, next down is alpacas, and the smallest ones are vicunas and guanacos. Those are not tame animals, those are wild animals. Going back to the structure of this camel that we're looking at, The eyes, it's not so much that he has dips behind his eyes as that his eyes are standing out from the sides of his head on large bony structures. Gives him a wider field of vision going all the way around. His eyes, he's got not only his great big eyelashes, he's got 3 eyelids. They're all 3 voluntary muscles. He can choose to close 1 or 2 or 3. His first eyelid closes to make his eye watertight. His second eyelid closes against the sand that he can see through it. His third eyelid closes to close his eyes. And they are all voluntary muscles he chooses, 1 or 2 or 3 to close. His ears, the camels are the biggest. They have the ears that are the smallest, proportional to their body. They look about like they have Mickey Mouse ears. Then the llamas are the next down. They have the great big banana-shaped ears. And the alpacas are the smallest, and they have short, straight ears. The camel, his long neck makes a big difference in his life, because of all the hairs in his neck that work on the dehumidification and humidification of air as he's breathing in and out. His long legs make a big difference in his life, because if you think about it, if you're at a campfire and you hold your hands down here right to the fire, you're going to singe your hands off. But if you hold them just this high above the fire, about where he is, it's a whole lot cooler. So the surface temperature of the sand might be 140 degrees, but by the time it gets up to where his body cavity is, you're down into the upper 90s. Here we go again, showing you all his tricks. So not only the air temperature is a whole lot less when you get up 3 feet off the ground, but it lets the air swirl all around him so that it cools his body with airflow. The camel's hump. His hump is entirely filled with fat and adipose tissue. There is no liquid tank in the hump, and there is no bone in the hump. So when he is severely dehydrated, his hump, his back, would be as flat as a horse's back. Because there is no bone in there, it's held up by fat and adipose tissue. Adipose tissue being what it is that gives shape to fat. The camel's legs, as you look at his legs, looks like he's got worn out callousy spots all over the fronts and backs of his legs. Everywhere that he has one of these spots, that is where his skin is going to touch the ground when he goes down onto the ground. So when the camel kneels down onto the ground, you call that cushing. So when they cush down, he goes down like this. So all the places that his skin is going to touch the ground, he's got one of these big pads that keep him from burning his skin on the ground. Then in between his legs, this big huge thing right here, this is his sternum plate. His sternum plate is 6 or 8 inches thick and as hard as a stone. When he lays down onto the ground, the sternum plate touches the ground. His body cavity does not. It leaves a gap about like that between his belly and the ground. Now that might not sound like a huge deal unless you put it in the perspective that this is your stovetop and this is your hand. How in love are you with that 1 inch gap, right? Because this is conduction, this is convection.
Yes.
And convection is dramatically slower than conduction. So that's what keeps a camel from getting heat stroke when he lays down onto the sand in the desert. And if he wants to warm up, because when the sun goes down, it is instantly cold in the desert. There's no trees, grass, plants, buildings, roads, any structures to hold heat in the desert. So if it gets cold at night, he'll roll over onto his side. And then his whole side will be in contact with the ground and it'll soak extra heat up out of the sand by being on his side instead of in his sternal position on the pedestal or sternum plate. The camel has massive large intestines. So his large intestines will squeeze every bit of water out of his waist before he lets it rip. And 1 second. Hey guys. You guys have a good time? We had a great time. Good, I'm glad. Thanks for coming out to see us today. Appreciate it. Where'd you guys come in from?
Chattanooga.
Oh, great. Excellent. We love it when the local. We've had people here from all 50 states and 44 countries in the past year, but not as many from locally. So we're excited when locals come out. Thanks for coming today. All right. See y'all later. All right. So it's like we're getting rained hard on Friday. So when he squeezes every bit of water out of his poop before he lets it rip, when it hits the ground in the desert, it is dry enough to light it with a match when it hits the ground. This is your walking Kingsford container in the desert. If you are walking a camel in the desert, you need to keep a bag with you to gather up everything that he drops off, because there is nothing else in the desert that you can burn. And, wow. So, we experienced camels, not riding camels. You guys are staying here, right?
Yeah.
You'll be able to ride tomorrow. You guys are not staying here, right? Camels can't walk on mud. So, anyhow. All right, so when he drops it off, you got to pick it up. Fortunately, camel food doesn't smell like anything. And if you look to have a fire at night in the desert, the thing that there is that you can burn is camel waste. If there aren't any grass or sticks or trees or anything like that in the desert that you could burn. The camel, these guys are both 15 years old. They are both, they were born on the same farm a few days apart, and in their lives they have never ever been apart. They are utterly codependent. That's why the window is in between their stalls. When we first brought them into this barn, and I'm like, the proud father had given them the nicest room they've ever seen because they came from a zoo that they didn't even have an indoor space. And I put them into these stalls, and I thought they were going to rip the place down because they couldn't see each other. We took them back out, and put the window inside of their stalls, and that was just fine. But you can't get them to where they can't see each other. These two guys are both 15 years old. They live to be about 40. Old age for camel would be 40. They pass due to cancer in their mid-30s. But camels are super resistant to every kind of disease and every kind of medication. I personally think it's because of the way that their cells are. So, wow. Yeah, he's like, oh, you want to talk about food? Let's give you something to talk about. Grab the power washes and like that.